Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to my channel if you're here for the first time, and also welcome big thanks to all of my new subscribers and my regulars. I really appreciate you. I am a Fefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. I am going to do a political reading today around a couple of topics. One, I want to start out with the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in the Baltimore Harbor. We now know that all six of those people who were killed, the workers who were killed on the bridge that night, are Latino, of Latin descent, Mexican and Central America, El Salvador, Guatemala, I believe, and as I said, Mexico. And that the guides, I was sitting in meditation, the guides were like, that really, in terms of the political spectrum, that really highlights a lot that is happening in this election year around the immigration debate, right? The border issue, etc. And I am wondering, I'm going to go to the cards, let's go to Spirit and take a look at whether that issue can, the idea, or not the idea, the fact that all six of those workers are or were of Latin descent. That's a really think about that in terms of who it made me go look at. This is a portion of our workforce who would be willing to be on a bridge at 1:30 in the morning due to necessity or otherwise, taking these jobs. Who among us would be out on a bridge in the freezing cold, 1:30 in the morning, fixing potholes, right? I mean, it just puts into perspective. I made a note here, fact versus fiction. We know that Donald Trump recently went so far as to call immigrants, people who are trying to come to this country, animals. We know that in the, animals, y'all. Like, we know that in the past he has said, criminals and rapists, etc. But the fact that these were hardworking people doing jobs that many people would not want to do or would not feel compelled to do. So that ability to look at this in the reality of what was going on with these workers, what is going on with so many of them, and whether in some way we can begin to broaden the spectrum of our knowledge and debate around how to responsibly handle immigration in this country. And I looked up some figures. And it says that, if it's to be believed, that according to the U.S. Department of Labor, we've got about as of 2020, we have about 29 million immigrants who are a part of the American workforce. When we break that down, we know that by and large, they supply the workforce in service industry jobs, specifically around agriculture. The rates are saying around 43% of workers are Hispanic and Latino workers are in agriculture, 36% in construction, 38% in building, cleaning, and maintenance. All right. So and 61% even in one article I found said in landscaping. All right. So we know how vital, this is a vital part of our workforce. And there has been a lot of coming together cross-culturally in response to this, especially in the Baltimore area. Now, of course, there's this debate that is starting to rage already about whether Biden came right out and said, immediately expressed support. Haven't heard a peep out of Donald Trump, of course. Not surprising to any of us. But now there is a debate around, whether funding will get through in Congress, because Biden came out immediately and said, listen, we've got your back. We will make sure that bridge, apparently it is the place, billions of dollars can be held up. It is the place where we have the most automobiles coming through, coal, other things. So this is that Baltimore port is that's a huge economic situation we've got going on there. And so the timing of the repair of that is going to be vital and crucial for the economy. So we have Congress saying, some members of Congress, of course, piping up and saying, why do we need to foot this bill when the insurance companies, etc., we should wait and let that happen? We can't afford afford to wait and let that happen. So I want to go to Spirit and see whether, in terms of timing and support, whether in fact the government is going to be able to help, get the wheels moving quickly to get the remains of that ship cleaned up from those waters, and the repair of the bridge so that business can go on. But I also want to take a look and see if in fact there is a way not to overly politicize that issue. I don't want to come across that way at all, and my heart doesn't mean that. But I do believe that if we think about it a certain way, it can improve the dialogue that we're having around who is coming to our country, why they are here, and the extent to which they serve a really, really vital function and a part of our economic fabric. All right, so I want to take a look at that and see what Spirit says around those two issues. First and foremost, in terms of the economy, Spirit, are we going to be able to, will Congress approve the funding, the necessary funding for the repairs of that bridge so that commerce can be reestablished? It's so, there's a GoFundMe that was put out so that the families of those 6 people who lost their lives, can take care of funeral expenses. There were those who had children. I think the youngest I saw was 26 years old. Like who's out on a bridge fixing potholes, knowing, and I saw another article that said, knowing the jeers that they get very often when, for those workers who are in construction industry jobs, when they are fixing our roads, that you've got cars speeding by, you've got them, working in intense heat, or in this case, intense cold, just the severity sometimes of the working conditions, and they do what they have to do to take care of their families, and not only here when they come here, but of course to help take care of their families and send money back home, right? So there's just a level of compassion that we need to have. But I also think that this situation highlights the idea that, running counter to that far right extremist, all this blah blah around, that there's this criminal element, that there's this risk that they pose to us. There's so, this flies directly in the face of that. So I want to take a look. Spirit, the High Priestess, it's bringing things to end the star. Whew, thank you. Pull 2 major arcana right out the deck. Thank you, Spirit. This is going to, I think, galvanize a lot of people and broaden the dialogue that we're having, both socially, politically, culturally, around what it means to have a more productive approach and a more compassionate approach to our immigration policies in this country. Do we need protection at the border? Do we need, different policies and reforms about the border? Yes, nobody's arguing that. Biden administration is not arguing that point, but the idea, the stereotypes and all of the rigmarole that's being put out there and promoted by the far right, by the MAGAs, this situation, I think, is going to change some people's minds. And if the Biden administration, and especially with that High Priestess, things are coming to light. The High Priestess very often brings forward something that we've always sort of known, but it needs to be explored. It needs to be brought to light. It needs to be acknowledged. And I think this is doing that. This has certainly galvanized and mobilized the community within Maryland, the Baltimore and greater metropolitan area. There are people, from what I understand, from all walks of life who are coming together to assist the Hispanic and Latino community in that area. But of course, we've all seen it. This has been, international news. And I think Spirit is saying with that star and the High Priestess, yes, this is going to be something that we have not heard the last of as we continue to go forward in this election year. We have the Seven of Pentacles. That's going to be a collaboration. I think there's an assessment that's being made around how to not only help the families, not only improve safety. There's going to be, as that bridge is rebuilt, There's going to be some measures put in place to make sure that safety is promoted. The company, I didn't write down the name of the company. I'm sorry, that was in charge of those workers on the bridge, but they have said they do not hire any illegal immigrants. Of course, let's hope not. There are processes in place and penalties for doing so, but these workers were not unionized. They didn't. So the public support is really important, and I think that's part of the Seven of Pentacles, is people coming together to do that. So yes, I do think that the Biden administration, will the Democratic Party, will the backers of Biden, will they have, can this be a catalog for dialogue around this issue? The Three of Cups, Mercury in Cancer, no less. Mercury, communication, Cancer, families, support, security, safety. All right, confirmation all over the place. So yes, I don't think, even as we move past this, the immediacy of this issue, this is going to carry on, because it does highlight the extent to which there are people and families who come to this country because they see it as a land of opportunity, and they are here doing very hard work, sometimes in very perilous conditions, and it needs to be addressed. It needs to be respected, honored, and addressed. All right, so yes. Now, on the other hand, the repair of the bridge itself and the timing of that in terms of how it will affect us economically. Spirit, will Congress approve federal funding? Will there be a collaborative effort across the aisle to approve funding so that that bridge can be repaired right away? Where was it? Was it Pennsylvania that we had a situation, and the governor of Pennsylvania managed to get that done? There's Eight of Cups. Wow. Huh. Not sure about that. Let's see. Five of Wands. They're going to fight it. Dang. SOBs. Right? SOBs. They're going to haggle, because they will try and use it to their end. Around border immigration policies. But ultimately, I do think there's a Venus in Cancer, the Two of Cups that comes up. Ultimately, I do think there's going to be a reckoning, because people understand this is jobs, you all. This is jobs. And we've been hearing a lot lately about the economic forecast, and the idea that, the jobs market is still good. The stock market yesterday closed out. I can't remember if they actually broke records, but they were on the borderline of breaking records. So there's too much at stake. Page of Swords, conversations being had, time to take action, to get it done. To get it done as quickly as possible. And the Ten of Swords, that's them again though. They're really, this is going to happen. There will be federal funding for this. It will come, it will get approved, but it is going to be sticky, and therefore I think that the timing of this is going to drag out. At the top end of it, we were hearing, or at least the last that I saw, was around 4 weeks to get, because there, as I understand it, there are already boats that are out there stranded with merchandise on it. There are this has got to get cleared up to get those moving. We have the King of Wands. That's not Biden. There's someone else. That might be someone in his administration. And the Ace of Cups. Yes, there is. This is going to be roll up your sleeves and fight the good fight. But I think it's going to take longer. It's going to be a little frustrating, and it's going to take longer. This will not be the miraculous recovery that we all want to see. All hands on deck. It's going to be a little clunky in terms of timing. But the funding will come through. As Biden said, we're going to figure out a way to provide the necessary funding to get this done. I think I've seen estimates upwards of $2 billion are, in terms of ultimate economic loss if it's not done. So it'll get done. Secondly, moving on. Second issue, women's rights, and JFK Jr. and Nicole Shanahan. Nicole Shanahan has gone and stepped in it, you all, because she apparently has now said that she believes that, how I wrote it down, that IVF is the biggest lie about women's health. She has come out and publicly said that. Now we know the whole IVF situation in Alabama, the whole idea of women's rights, women's reproductive rights, abortion pill, etc. So Nicole Shanahan, who came out of nowhere, no political experience except that she's got deep pockets. Come to find out, she was one of the people who joined the super PAC, who not only has been one of JFK Jr.'s largest donors, but she apparently was the one of the part of the creative force in the super PAC who put forward that asinine Super Bowl ad. Remember that flashback, black and white flashback to the 1960s, all these little vignettes, that really insulted the Kennedy family. Well, Nicole Shanahan's fingerprints are all over that. She apparently thought that was a bright idea, to the tune of $4 million that she helped the PAC raise to pay for that ad. So now she's come out and called, and now this too little tidbit, she just got divorced from the co-founder of Google. What's his name? Sergey Brin. That divorce just went through in 2023. All right, so this is a woman with a boatload of money, 38 years old, trying to figure out what she's going to do with her life. And so she's gotten an opportunity to make her mark. Now, pay attention to this. She supported Biden. She donated to Biden in 2020. As recently as last October, she said she wasn't backing JFK Jr. because she didn't like the fact that he went from being a Democrat. She's, touted herself historically or in the past as a progressive Democrat, Silicon Valley kind of progressive, biotech kind of thing. So she's come out and, she came out and said she wasn't about JFK Jr. when he decided to go from a Democrat to independent. She wasn't with it and didn't support him. So she's gone in the span from October 23 to now March of 24 as his running mate, right? Just goes to show. So you have to wonder what's up with her. What's all this about? What's her long game? When she made that comment about IVF being dangerous to women's reproductive health, come to find out, it was not successful for her. She had some issues, apparently, allegedly, with getting pregnant, and she was not successful with IVF. So she tried it; it didn't work. Maybe she's got an axe to grind in that. But one of the ideas that she's putting forth in her progressive, in quotes, biotech work and connections is that she's looking at alternative things, such as, one thing that I saw, for women to spend 2 hours a day in sunlight, and that this could help their reproductive qualities, okay? And longevity, that's another thing. Apparently she is big on extending. She believes that women should be able to have children naturally into their 50s. So that's a part of what she's throwing her money into. I want to take a look at her and see what her long game is. She sounds to me, there's been a lot of concern about and a lot of talk around whether her joining forces with JFK Jr., aside from her deep pockets, is whether or not, because of her quote-unquote progressive background, if she would indeed take votes away from Biden versus Trump. But this landmine that she just stepped into on IVF, I think that might move the needle a little bit, and that's going to mean, the Biden voters are going to look at her like, you are not one of us. You are not one of us. And all you got to tell us is we should go and spend 2 hours a day in sunlight. Like, that's your big idea. Yeah, I think she's going to ultimately cost JFK Jr., and I'm not sad about that. I think they make very, very strange bedfellows. I've said that before when I first heard the announcement about her. I feel a disconnect. Clearly, she, bought her way into his consciousness and into his circle. And he needs her money. She's got the deep pockets and the connections to other deep pockets. So it was clear why he chose her. But in terms of, she is going to draw, and has already drawn, a lot of attention. People are going to want to hear what she has to say, and she is not polished. She does not walk in this world, not this visibly. And I think she's going to put that foot in that mouth more than one time. So I want to take a look and see whether, in fact, Nicole Shanahan is going to help the Dems, help Biden. Got the Four Cups. Yeah, the fascination with her is not going to last very long at all. And we've got the Four Pentacles. She's going to lose a lot of money. And she's going to cause people who believe in her or with whom she's tight and are willing to help fund based on her situation, her say so. They're going to lose that money. And that's not going to reflect well on her. Seven of Wands. And then death. Yeah. We won't be talking about her a year from now, right? We will not be talking about her other than, saying what a mess it was, what a terrible idea it was. And by all means, if she volunteers to show up as part of your creative team for a Super Bowl ad, say thanks, but no thanks, right? Yeah. This is going to do more harm than good for JFK Jr. Got to put that Jr. in there. And respect to the Kennedy family. Like, I know they are not pleased with this at all. And the Seven of Swords. Yeah, she doesn't know what she's doing. And the Fool, perfect. Thank you, Spirit. Between this death, the Seven of Swords, and the Fool, you all, Nicole Shanahan is a flash in the pan on the political front. Now, what she does, she's still young, and she still has tons of money, and she'll still have money after she loses a lot of money with JFK Jr. She's going to go back to what's familiar to her. I think she's going to go back and she's got some firm called Baya Echo Foundation, and so her quest for reproductive longevity, and she's framing it in the term also of inequality in reproductive health care. So again, that we thought might, initially when people heard about her, we thought that might be more damaging to the Biden end of things, because reproductive health and women's issues is going to be front and center for 2024, going into November. But old girl has stepped on a landmine here with this issue with her take on IVF. Don't be surprised if she tries to backpedal off of that as she comes to understand that mistake. But we won't be talking about her this time next year. All right, you all. All right, I hope that was helpful. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you really soon.